Hey there guys, Zach here from WinBeta, and welcome to episode number 50 of the WinBeta Podcast.
Episode 50!
Yep, of the WinBeta Podcast for the week of January 29th, 2016. With me as co-host Sean Michael. Hey there, Sean.
Hey there, guys.
And today we're talking about the usual kind of thing, talking about Redstone builds, outsider builds, and the death of Windows Phone, again. Because
this imminent, slow-rolling death.
It's literally, if you've ever seen EastEnders, which is a British soap, Windows Phone right now is the equivalent of Phil Mitchell. He won't die, he's been shot, whatever else, he's still alive and he's kicking. So Windows Phone keeps dying and coming back, apparently. And as of today, or yesterday, Windows Phone was declared dead for the fifth time. For like the fifth or sixth time. So we're going to be talking about that.
It's never actually ending.
We're going to be talking about that in the podcast today. So, yes, let's kick off with, I guess, one of the biggest stories of the week, as per usual.
To you.
To me, at least. Redstone
to you
build.
insiders, it's a big story, I guess.
To only 7 million insiders, which was more than Windows Phone buyers this quarter. Yay. That's, Windows 10 insider build 14251, so 14,251. That is, again, pretty bare of features, but it is the first build that kind of jumped to this new area. So before build 14,251, Microsoft was on build 11,107. They did a big jump to kind of unify build numbers between mobile and desktop, but that's kind of it for that build number. There's not really any new features in it, more bug fixes.
But it's a big number.
Yeah, it's a big jump. I think it's the biggest jump in build number history for Windows. But it's just new build was released this week. Nothing new in it, so there's nothing to talk about apart from the fact that the build number changed. There are new features. I believe they are now in the process of starting to compile features into the main development branch, which is good news. So hopefully next week's build should see some features. I'm not entirely sure if they will be huge features. It might be this kind of on the same level of that menu thing in Edge, but they're starting to. It's happening now. So it's great for insiders, because I've seen a lot of people complaining about these Redstone builds having no features, and that's just kind of the nature of development at this early stage. The code happens under the hood, and then UX features and other stuff come later. That's just how it's always been. You don't really build a house from the inside out, do you? You build a house from the outside in.
No, and let's be fair. The primary complaints of Windows 10 are stability issues. There are features missing, like people have complained about Edge not having extensions and that sort of thing. But primarily the complaints are, this isn't working, this firmware isn't working, this software for Windows 10 isn't working. Like, products running Windows 10 stability is the main complaint that we're getting from people that I've seen.
Yeah, it's just... Redstone should fix a lot of things, guys.
Yeah.
As should every release, considering this is what Windows as a Service is all about. You release early, you get fixes out the way later, and then in a few years you should have a pretty stellar operating system. But until then, Microsoft will keep releasing updates, which, Sean, that's your cue.
Yeah, I guess. I guess this is an update. We got a cumulative update, which we get technically, like, it's not a new build number, it's a new build, like, decimal. And then it's part of a cumulative update. I don't think there were any features in this one.
No, bug fixes only.
Just bug fixes here. It's one of those placebo effects. So get the numbers out of the way. 10,586.71, part of a very long cumulative update number, as they all start with KB, et cetera, et cetera. It rolled out this week. It didn't take long. I don't know. I found that sometimes these updates take a really long time to download and update. This one seemed even smaller, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't know if that means anything. Like some of the updates, you get like cumulative update, major update 1, and it's like, it takes a long time to do that reboot. But here, nothing really.
Weird.
So it's nothing crazy. It's just a little...
It's pretty weird how they haven't released the mobile update for it yet. Because you know how with every desktop patch, there's usually a mobile patch that's also compiled.
Right.
But they haven't released it this week. And it is ready because I posted screenshots of it earlier in the week just to prove that it does exist. And Microsoft haven't released it. I don't know if they're planning to release a newer patch for mobile or not. I saw rumors saying .75 was going to be dropped for mobile, or desktop it was, but that didn't happen. It was 7.1 for desktop. So I'm guessing 7.1 for mobile as well, but it's not being released to insiders yet. It's in testing at Microsoft. Microsoft Wide Ring. It's called the Microsoft Wide Ring, I think. Has that built-in for mobile. So if you're a Microsoft employee, you can download that build and use it on your phone.
Let me say this. At what point in time are we concerned about Windows 10 Mobile not being released?
But what do you mean by not being released?
Well, it's running on 3 already released devices.
Exactly. It's already out. People don't seem to realize this.
Right, but what I'm saying is if it's already out on the 950 and the 950 XL and the 550, but it isn't being released for the 930, 830, etc., to me, at a certain point, that shows a problem. Because it shows that they can't get it to work on older hardware. You know what I mean?
I think they're just kind of fixing it still. I mean, it does work on hardware because you can be inside of right now.
But what is that? If it's not working, that means they really shouldn't have released the 950.
Yeah, they shouldn't have. I mean, everybody said this when they first came out. The thing was riddled with bugs. It's a lot better now, though. But that's what happens. Again, the nature of Windows as a service. You release early and you fix down the line. That's kind of how this went for the 950 as well.
Yeah, people hate that. That's like a terrible model.
Well, that's how Microsoft has decided to do it. I mean, I see a lot of people asking, is this the Windows 10 Mobile RTM? The Windows 10 Mobile RTM has happened. These are just cumulative updates on top of it. So Microsoft is fixing the RTM with these. There's no .63 or .71 is not the mobile RTM. The mobile RTM was 10586. That's the build number. That's the RTM that was released to OEMs. And from there, Microsoft is doing updates. Microsoft is still actually deploying patches for Windows 10 Mobile to partners and OEMs to load onto phones. So depending on when you buy a phone, it may come with a newer build or an older build. Right now, the latest available Windows 10 Mobile build is 10586.29 for those already running it. So if you're... there are ways of doing it. I don't think I can detail how it's done. But internally at Microsoft, at least, you can take any phone and update it officially. So not through Insider. You can do an official update, and that'll update. And then once it hits 10586.0, your phone will actually see 10586.29 officially. So once you're on Windows 10 Mobile, you are no longer limited to your carrier or whatever else. By the looks of things, it's just happening. But it's just Microsoft is holding off releasing that whole batch to existing Windows phones over the air, which I can't get my head around why they haven't released it yet, because it's air quotes ready. They've got 71 different patches now. I guess it's not 71 technically, but .71, cumulative updates, whatever.
Right. I just, to me, it seemed, I like the back end of the Windows 10 as a service. Once it's released, we don't just leave it alone. We continue to try to change it. We continue to try to update. I like that process of it, but changing the way the back end, and I'm speaking back end, I mean like timeline. Speaking the way the future works, once it's released, what do we do then? Seems to have had this dramatic effect on the front end. Of the timeline, which is when we release it. This is a cliche quote, and it's you can't reach your goal unless you know what it is. And I think some of the time with this, they don't have a specific release date, or they don't have a goal for this, or like a bottom line that they have to reach, a bar that they have to pass before it technically RTMs, but it's still not actually released to the public, but it has released to manufacturers. Because that's all so convoluted, I think they just get a little lost. And it's like, Windows 10 was released too early and it wasn't really stable, and it's probably still not done, and obviously it's never going to be, but it didn't reach a point where you say this is a finished operating system. To me, what the line they need to reach is, if we were never going to update this as a service, is this a good operating system right now? Right. And then when they reach that point, release it, and then continue to improve it after that. But it seems that they kind of be like, it's kind of ready, sure, whatever. We're halfway releasing it. We'll give you an update next week. And it's like, to me, that's not good enough. But I don't know. Maybe that's just something I have to get used to.
I guess we should also quickly mention, since it's not in the OneNote, Microsoft is planning to only release Redstone builds at first to the 950, 950 XL, and 550, which is a strange thing for them to announce, considering the majority of Windows Phone insiders are on older hardware. So if you're in the small minority of people who own an X50 range, you will get the first Redstone builds for mobile. Otherwise, you'll be stuck on 10586.7 whatever for the time being, which is very confusing.
Kevin pointed out in the comments, he said, just because you don't understand doesn't mean they don't have a plan. I know they have a plan. I disagree with their plan.
Right,
Like,
yeah, it's not that we don't
they've
know,
made
it's
changes
that they're
that I
being
disagree
stupid.
with. Sorry, go ahead.
It's not that we don't know, it's just that we think what they're doing is clunky or not as
Yeah, it's just
not the right way.
People don't, when EA does it for a game, people don't like it. When they release a video game and it's not finished and then you have to get a patch to actually make it playable, people don't like that. So why would I like that for my phone or my computer, which are much more valuable than just one game?
It's very lots of Windows Phone users are unhappy right now. Lots of Windows Phone fans at least they're angry. They're
All
not
five of
happy.
us.
Everybody who tweets Gabriel about Windows 10 mobile builds are upset. Usually, it's like there's a lot going on right now for Windows Phone fans, and we're actually going to get into the whole Windows Phone is dead in a little bit because I think we have another story here. Yes, we do.
But speaking of clunky things that Microsoft has released, how about that Surface, Zach?
That's Microsoft. Everybody understands, right? That Microsoft released, along with the 950 and 950 XL, they released the Surface Pro 4 and the Surface Book that were also just as unfinished as the 950. Windows 10 and the Skylake processor don't talk very well by the looks of things, or at least the hardware doesn't talk very well. The Surfaces can't sleep. Everybody knows this. This has been covered widely on all kinds of places. But Microsoft released a firmware update this week, and Microsoft said I think it was December or November, that they were going to fix the sleep issues with the Surface with a firmware update in the new year. Well, a firmware update arrived in the new year. This is 2016, right? Yes, it's the new year, and a firmware update arrived. And guess what? It didn't fix the sleep issue. It fixed a number of other things that I didn't have any issues with or cared about, but it didn't fix the sleep issue. And Microsoft has still not said anything about the sleep problem since they last mentioned it in December. So I'm going to just assume that they're never going to fix it because it's just a hardware issue that they can't fix.
I think that when it comes to this sort of thing, the reason it's frustrating is and we've talked about this before, you can make devices smooth and sleek and look good and the right size, but at the end of the day, we need to use them. So they need to work quickly, they need to work smoothly, they need to not crash, and they need to last. And to be honest, the battery life on your Surface, you did a test right after the firmware update. Was that you that did that? I saw on Twitter.
The battery did save itself as it was supposed to, but that only did once. It's now doing the weird thing where it doesn't turn on again and stuff, and the battery drains. So
I don't know if it's. I mean, obviously this is a completely different device, but I think that this is just a greater issue. I mean, I had Dell XPS 12 do a very similar. It just didn't sleep right, and the services aren't sleeping right. Is this a Windows 10 thing? Is this across all devices?
I think it's a Skylake thing.
Skylake thing. Okay.
But, yeah, everybody's saying, everyone I've talked to about it seems to think it's a Skylake problem, but I'm not sure because someone said to me today that their Surface Pro 3 was having the same issue with Windows 10. So maybe
that's why the Dell XPS 12 had that issue on Windows 10.
Yeah, so yeah, there's more device. I mean, mine's a desktop, so I can't measure battery life, I guess. But mine's a Skylake desktop. I don't use the sleep function on it either. I just turn it off and I'm not using it. I guess I could try it on here as well and see if it has issues.
Kevin says it's a Skylake issue, so it's another testament to that. Yeah, it's frustrating because I know Microsoft doesn't make the Skylake chip, but when it came out, didn't we have all these articles about like how Microsoft and the Wintel partnership and they worked together with Intel to optimize the Skylake for Windows 10? Wasn't that an article that we wrote?
Yeah, yeah.
So if it was built to do this, why isn't it doing that?
It's like they forgot about sleep.
Look, it's a complicated thing because Windows 10 and these processors they have to work as a tablet. Tablets are instant on, instant off. And then they also want them to work as laptops and desktops, which are more hibernate and off. And to me, because tablets are something that you have in the go in your hands and they're popping on and off. Usually you're opening or closing your laptop. If it's open, you're using it. If it's closed, you're not using it. Usually you're not, every 3 minutes opening and closing a laptop, at least in my usage. So maybe that creates issues, but they still got to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
Oh, well, I guess maybe in the next update, if we cross our fingers, they might fix it.
Well, yeah, I hope that's one of the primary things.
I just wish they'd be more open about it. I wish they'd just explain what's going on, whether it is an Intel issue or whether it's a Microsoft issue and that they are just having trouble fixing it or that they have an ETA or that they don't have an ETA. Just say something. But the silence that they've kept about it is just mind-boggling. At least let us know that our devices are broken, right?
Right. Yeah. No. And if it's a known issue, then it needs to be listed as a known issue.
At least let us know that the devices you've sold us will be fixed or won't be fixed.
What's a Surface Book? $2,000?
Yeah. It starts at $14.99. So
so better work.
$1,500. That's expensive. Yeah. Okay. And if it can't go to sleep, then why am I buying it? I must just buy an XPS or something that can go to sleep.
Of course, that might have a similar issue. I don't know.
Right, Sean, let's start talking about...
Yeah, so this week, obviously, most of our fans, they probably don't just follow us and just tune into the podcast. So they'll see, the news coming in. And there are a lot of figures came out. I think the last time we had, official figures from Microsoft, we spent, half a podcast going through numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we're not doing that this week. I mean, we have articles on it. Feel free to read them. We're going to talk about them some. But we kind of extrapolated the interesting numbers and that sort of thing. The main thing with relation to Windows Phone is it's just continued to drop. There are less this quarter versus the year previously. Sales have gone down. Market share has gone down. And these are coming from multiple different outlets. Some that measure sales, some that measure market share. So if you look at Kantar report, it's actually interesting to see there's a difference between Europe and America, but there's even a difference between our good old UK, where Zach and I are now, and generally where it's been. So actually, Windows is let me see if this goes into 16.
It's dead, Sean.
I'm sorry.
There's no point arguing about it.
Even in some of the higher countries that it's in, like the UK,
it's 10% in the UK, right, or something.
Yeah.
10%.
It's like 1 in 10 people almost in the UK use a Windows Phone,
and it's dead.
And yet it's dead. But everywhere else, apparently it's dead, and we just haven't got the news here yet.
Do you know what it is, Sean? It's dead for Americans.
That's what it really is. Let's be honest. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's dead for America.
To be fair, worldwide
and
market
all
share,
media outlets.
It's about 1%, I think. 2%, or 3%.
1.9, I thought it was.
Yeah, so it's dropping still, but it's right. Here's the problem I have with the whole Windows Phone is dead. Windows Phone's been dead forever. When it first launched, it was dead. Everyone was saying it's dead. Windows Phone 7, oh, it's dead. Windows Phone 8, oh, it's still dead. Windows Phone 8.1, it's kind of dead. Windows Phone 10, oh, it's dead. It's been dead since every step of the way. There have been people claiming it's dead, and the reason people are claiming it's dead this time is because the year-over-year growth of Windows Phone went backwards by about 50%, or a bit more than 50%.
Yeah, it almost fell on.
That's a big drop business-wise. But if you notice recently, Microsoft stopped advertising Windows Phone. They've stopped advertising their Lumias. They've stopped doing all this. I've said it before, Microsoft isn't focused on their mobile side right now. The mobile plan is yet to come into effect. They've got a plan for mobile, but that's for the future. I'm kind of looking at it like Windows 10 Mobile is going into hibernation for the time being because they're not ready.
As long as it's not sleep, because they have issues putting things to sleep.
It's going into hibernation because...
Which they don't have issues with.
They're not ready to hatch their master plan for mobile because the Windows 10 vision is not complete without mobile. You've got desktop, tablets, and mobile. You can't have desktops and tablets and no mobile because that just kind of ruins the whole one platform for all thing. The mobile side of things is something for later. This is how I'm perceiving their idea for the fans. Yeah. So for those people who are the fans, Microsoft is still giving them something, but their major, this is how we're going to gain market share, etc., isn't happening yet. So Microsoft doesn't care that they're losing market share right now. They don't care that.
Dance around and go through some actual numbers, but you're right. That's the headline this week. Everybody says it's dead.
I mean, nobody cares about the numbers really because it's dead everywhere, according to everyone. But it's like the whole Windows 10 at 1 billion mark. It's 1 billion devices, and my phone runs Windows 10, as does my Surface, as does my desktop. These are 3 devices that count towards that billion number. Once Windows 10 reaches 1 billion, Microsoft can say, "Oh yeah, this Lumia here, it's the same software 1 billion other devices runs."
Yeah,
and it's correct. That's a correct thing to say. They can't be like, "Oh, it's technically a mobile version." No, if you develop a universal app, that app can run on 1 billion devices, regardless of whether it's my phone or my desktop. That's how this is the universal platform. I've said it before, but everybody's saying Windows Phone's dead. I'm not going to be saying that yet. I don't think it's dead. I think it's Microsoft is just putting it on hold for a little while.
Well, yeah, hibernation's probably a more direct analogy. It's yeah, and people on Twitter, they're also, it's dead, it's this, it's that. And I said, I don't think it's dead. I think it's niche, and they're keeping it alive. So when they have a Surface phone, they can run it. And then when they have universal apps, they can still push it. But if you look at like when they switched from Windows Phone 7 to Windows Phone 8, that was like a debacle because everyone that was on a platform wasn't supported, and that's not going to happen as much. Obviously, a few devices are not going to get it, but generally speaking, Windows 10 Mobile and Windows Phone are as dead as they're going to be. They can't get much worse. They kind of keep it on life support until the Surface phone, and then they can market it, and it's like it's starting fresh, it's starting new. They have a device to do it with, and that sort of thing. So I think that people they overreact to a number. What were we expecting? Windows, they have come out with one flagship device, two if you count it where it's like a 950 and its big sibling, in like a year and a half. They've won two flagship devices in like a year and a half. When was market share going to go up?
It wasn't. It never.
It wasn't.
So
yeah, I got to. I
guess people were just shocked that it dropped at a percent, like half of what it was before. But again, going back to for the fans thing, Microsoft is still providing for the. I mean, not great. I understand that. I mean, iOS is getting a really awesome WordFlow keyboard, and Windows Phone 10 Mobile stuck with whatever it's got currently. But the future is bright, I think. Right now, it seems a bit gloomy and doomy, but that's because Microsoft is focused elsewhere. But Microsoft is coming back to Windows Phone, or Windows 10 Mobile, sorry. It's not
going anywhere.
It's not.
In fact, it's actually merging more with Windows 10 now.
Yeah, and again, it's back to that whole the mobile side of things is part of Microsoft's vision. They have never. What is it? Satya Nadella always says, "Mobile first, cloud first."
Yep.
He's all about mobile devices, regardless of what software it runs. It doesn't matter. It's all Windows 10, and his vision is universal apps and whatever else. Eventually, at some point this year, the Xbox One will be able to run universal apps. And then of course HoloLens will be able to do it anyway.
Word. I want Excel and Word on an Xbox One.
Yeah, I just think it's silly to say or think Windows Phone is dead right now because Microsoft doesn't care. I mean, they do care, but not in that way. The market share can drop to 1% globally.
And it will.
Idea of their vision for Windows 10 Mobile is to come into play later. That's honestly how I have perceived their whole persona of Windows 10 Mobile and whatever else. That's how I've perceived the fact that they released the 950 and the 950 XL for the fans and whatever else that they're doing in that department. I mean, I have not seen marketing for the 950 or the 950 XL anywhere. I've seen a few advertisements, banner advertisements on websites. Have not seen any billboards in the UK. And the UK is a pretty prime place for Lumia ads. When the 930 was out, that was advertised everywhere. When the 640 was out, that was advertised everywhere. They are not advertising on their Windows 10 mobile devices because they are not ready to do so.
I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth specifically, but there are people in the media who think that the way that Panos Panay phrased the introduction of the 950 XL, he didn't even seem to be as behind them as he will be for the Surface phone.
No, right. And
I can't speak on his actual frame of mind, but people in the media have kind of said, when he said things like, I've only been with this team for a few months, and how they pushed it, and the time spent on it at the keynote versus Surface, I think a lot of people took that as like, we bought Nokia and we have these phones and they're here and we did our best with them. But I think most people believe the heart of the mobile division is moving forward, not where they are right now.
And again, how can you say Windows Phone is dead if they're planning to release a Surface phone?
That's true, which is actually probably most directly related to this. Surface is doing really well.
Oh, yeah.
Surface is they grew, again, they grew significantly this year compared to the previous year. It's well over $1 billion industry. They're doing really well, and you got to attach that name to a phone.
Right, and I believe that the Surface phone will be the start of Microsoft Vision for mobile. It won't be the complete set. It'll just be the beginning. So I don't expect the Surface Phone, the first Surface Phone at least, to do well. I don't expect it to do tremendously well and get Windows Phone to become a successful platform, whatever else. I doubt it will increase market share by that much, if anything, considering everything else is dropping. I just think it'll be the start of their vision. Windows 10 Mobile Redstone will be focused a lot on perfecting the platform. Because right now, I mean, if you're using a 950, you understand there's a few bugs with it, of course, but that's the software, not really the hardware. Windows 10 Mobile's current hardware is a little buggy, which is probably why they haven't pushed it out over the air for existing handsets yet.
One thing I would say, and a lot of the comments during the live stream right now are talking about iPhones and comparing it to that. I would say that even though Microsoft is the company that's worked, I would say, the hardest on merging their mobile platform and their tablet and desktop platform. I mean, quite literally, their tablet and desktop platforms are the same. And they've obviously worked on that quite a bit. I would say in function, Apple might actually be better at merging phones, tablets, and computer right now for a lot of the things people care about. Text messaging from your tablet and your PC, that type of seamless handoff between them. Redstone needs to focus on that because that's who they're competing with. There are a lot of people that have Macs and get an iPhone and say, look what I can do because I have both. Right now, even though if they're running a similar kernel, even though they're running similar apps, functionality-wise, you need to be able to say, my phone is an extension of my other devices. And then you can actually start selling it because they can do the ads where they can do the OneDrive anywhere in the world, handoff, but whatever they decide to call it, you're jumping between devices. But in functionality, Apple's already done that for a lot of the features people actually care about.
So normal consumers who aren't into technology, the idea of a universal experience is already there for Apple users.
Right, exactly.
Even though the platforms aren't universal, they're completely different almost. Although they run on, I say completely different, they're very different. Windows 10 is the same kind of everywhere, except that it's disconnected still. And with Redstone, I understand with Redstone, they are going to fix most of that by doing the whole continuity thing that OS X has or whatever else. But that will be the start of Microsoft's mobile vision, the start of it. And there's a lot more coming, and I just can't see. I don't understand why people are saying Windows Phone is dead.
Can I say one weird thing that happened with me, speaking of this handoff? Or what are you saying they're going to end up calling it?
I don't know what they're going to call it. I guess it would just be a part of a feature for Continuum. I guess it would be Continuum.
Yeah, Continuum continuity. I actually had this week, I think if you follow me on Twitter, I mentioned it. I'm not sure if it was this week or the week before. I actually had text messages, SMS messages, briefly appear on my PC.
Yeah, some people claim this sometimes happens, and then they go away, right?
Right, and then it went away. So they synced not just the ones I sent, but also ones that have been sent to me. SMS messages showed up on my messaging app on my Surface, and then they went away. And then a really weird thing happened. I actually had a Facebook message appear inside.
Yeah, that bit I don't understand because I have not heard of the app supporting Facebook.
So I don't even. It did happen. Guarantee.
Does the Facebook messaging service have an API for that?
I thought they separated the People app from Facebook APIs like a few months ago.
A long time ago, I'm sure.
So you can't even claim that there's some sort of back-end gobbledygook that got left over and it accidentally synced or something. I don't know what happened. But I do know that briefly my SMS text messages appeared and you say, man, that would have just been so nice. You could just do that.
Go on.
Honestly, if it included Facebook on purpose, that'd be great too.
What that tells me is that the back end for it, the server side of it, because obviously syncing stuff is through the cloud, etc. The back end of it is ready to go, and just the app keeps accidentally hooking onto it sometimes. But the app itself doesn't have the functionality built in to actually send those texts, because of course it would have to connect your phone and all that good stuff. And right now, any Cortana can do that. The Facebook thing does baffle me because I've not heard of that. I mean, I know that's their vision eventually, but I didn't realize Facebook had the API yet.
Well, apparently Cole said he had the Facebook message show up as well.
Wow, that's very peculiar.
So that tells me that
did it say Facebook?
No, but it was the exact Facebook message I got.
Very peculiar. That's very, very interesting. I guess, again, this is the whole continuity OS X to iPhone texting thing. this app will eventually be able to do that, and the idea is it should come in Redstone, but I don't know if it was cut. I would highly doubt it's been cut. This is a very highly requested feature, but yeah, I'm gonna say it's coming until it's not coming.
what I mean is I think most end users don't care if the kernel is shared. Right. Most end users care if their messages show up on these two different machines.
Exactly.
But if you make the kernel the same and you make the apps identical and you make the apps scalable, universal apps, then when you do things like that, it's going to be smoother. Absolutely. And so that's what they need to get to, if you ask me. And that's true for Xbox. That's true for HoloLens. That's true for everything else. You might get apps that, like, Netflix might never develop a HoloLens app if it was standalone. But if they already have a universal one for 2 other mediums or 3 other mediums, they might as well say, oh, okay, click a button, make it work for HoloLens. You see what I'm like? That's what I'm saying is end users don't care why they have all the apps, but if having that shared core gives them more apps, they're gonna like it. So that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I think it's too early to call Windows Phone down until Microsoft says we're done making the software, we're done releasing hardware for it. It can't be dead.
No, it's not dead.
Microsoft right now, and I know it's hard to believe since they're not releasing them. Microsoft is working on Redstone for mobile. Okay, there are mobile builds out there. They exist. Just because they're not in insider hands, don't mean they don't exist. They do exist, and Microsoft is working on stuff. So keep that in mind. Yeah. Where's my list?
Yeah, I know it's coming. I just, I'm just saying it takes time. That's all I'm saying. They're just on a holding pattern, which some people are going to get frustrated with. I'm not that mad that they have to wait on these things. I do have a quick question for you. Do you think? Well, I actually know the answer to this question. What size do you think they should have tablets running Windows 10 Mobile? How small do they have to go
8
before
or below?
8 or below.
Any higher, and even 9 maybe, but 9 is borderline. It's anything above 8, I'm going to say, should be a full desktop.
Because that also would affect it, and I have no idea how they would measure that. If there ever was a point where there were 50 million 8-inch tablets running Windows 10 Mobile, does that help their mobile market share or their tablet market share? I don't know.
It's just, you base it, when they do the market share thing, they base it on hardware. But what really interests us, and I imagine Microsoft as well, to a certain extent, is where the software is. Exactly. Right now, Windows 10 Mobile and on Windows Phone, when people reference Windows Phone, although they're talking about the 4.9% drop, whatever it was, the 50% drop between sales was Lumia handsets alone. That wasn't the Windows Phone platform. The Windows Phone platform, although it is also kind of low, that's kind of what needs to go up. It doesn't matter who the hell does it. It doesn't matter if it's a Lumia or a Surface. If an OEM can release a Windows Phone that gains market share in a big way, then it's a win for Microsoft.
Well, and that could be something like if Samsung ever decided they would have versions of the Galaxy that run Windows.
Exactly. And
it could be something that simple.
And then Samsung could become, I don't know, Windows Phone could be 10% just global market share thanks to Samsung.
I would love that if they just said because then the adverts would be just this is the Samsung Galaxy such and such. And then they just have a thing at the end that's available in Android and Windows.
Right.
And then people be like, oh, okay. And then someone else is doing the advertising for you.
Exactly. It's it doesn't have to be Microsoft. As long as an OEM comes out with a device that actually can pick up market share. It doesn't have. It could be a tablet. It can be, I don't know. Who's that company that's releasing the 8-inch Windows 10 mobile tablet? I can't remember the name. A bigger company than that could release a tablet with Windows 10 mobile on it, and that tablet could shoot off. It could be $99, whatever. Could be really successful tablet. Everybody in the world has one. Windows 10 mobile is a success from there. It's not a phone. Keep in mind, it's a tablet, but everybody owns one.
Yeah, and Bingo just pointed out, Samsung, they did have the Tab Pro. There's things that could happen. And if you make a tablet and the tablet runs Windows 10 mobile, might as well make a phone. It's not that hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Everyone just needs to dig in, guys. Everyone needs to have a piece of the pie and try it out.
Yeah. I want success. I don't want it to be a failure. But we should probably move on to some brief gaming news. I know we're not a huge gaming podcast, but it is related to Windows and Microsoft, that sort of thing. We had some stats come out, obviously somewhat not exact, because the report is that there have been 19 million Xbox Ones sold, but that's an unofficial number because that's coming from EA, which obviously has, insight onto this sort of thing, but Microsoft has not released the initials. So that what the report is that out of the 55 million latest generation, I believe it's Gen 9 that we're in right now for consoles, yeah?
Something like that, yeah.
So I think it's Gen 9. Out of the 55 million, 19 million are Xbox Ones. But to combine that with the next story, in contrast, there are 48 million active users of Xbox Live. So even though the latest generation of consoles is less than half Xbox One, I'm assuming almost the entirety of the other ones, PlayStation 4, because Wii U has such a small market share. So you're looking at PlayStation 4 probably, I don't want to say double, but obviously it's up there, math wise. It's, I don't know the exact figures for PS4 compared to Xbox One, but even though the Xbox One isn't doing as well as PS4, they still have a lot of active users on Xbox Live. What do you think that means?
What do you mean? What do you think it means? It just
Well,
means that a lot of people.
there are a lot of users on Xbox Live, but does that mean much to Microsoft because they aren't selling as much hardware?
It's still. I mean, Xbox Live is a moneymaker in itself. You have to pay for Xbox Live Gold for starters, and then there's also you pay people who buy games digitally. Microsoft get a cut of that. In-app purchases or in-game purchases, again, Microsoft gets a cut of it. People just using the service and Groove Music, for example, or using some of the apps that are available through their service, because you have to use, I think a lot of the apps require gold anyway. Microsoft gets a cut of a lot of stuff that happens on Xbox Live. So 41 million people, that's 49 million customers for Microsoft who are paying.
Right, and so for me, it's interesting because their hardware is better. They've had obviously some of the best. The fourth quarter of last year was one of the best. I think it was the best quarter they've ever had, or at least in a while. And so that's great. But it's interesting to see there are a lot of Xbox Live users. I'm sure that goes up slightly when Windows 10 comes in, just because like if you're running an app that's Windows 10 but it's connected to Xbox Live, it technically means that they have an active Xbox Live user, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And then as people have pointed out, and this is another point I thought about earlier, there are a lot of Xbox 360 users as well, and they're still using Xbox Live.
Yeah, I think there's more Xbox 360 users.
So yeah, there's that. It's it's an interesting gaming market out there because there's no new hardware in sight, so it's just kind of battling with what you have.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's sad that the Xbox One has lost this generation of the console wars, but what can you do at this point now?
Yeah, well, they've kind of gone a little bit in a different direction here, which we already knew about this. This isn't like breaking news or anything, but with the Tomb Raider story that we're about to cover, it's another side of gaming that Microsoft's trying to take advantage of.
Yeah. Yes. I was about to say yeah and just not say anything. Microsoft released its first major game port from the Xbox One this week to the Windows Store. So if you own a Windows 10 device, not a mobile device, for people. I saw people ask this. They were with this story. So what it is Microsoft released Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is a full Xbox One game. They've released it for PC via Steam and Windows 10 Store. So if you're a Microsoft fan like me, I'm not. Although I love Steam, I'm not going to buy it through Steam. I'm going to buy it through the store because there's a few benefits to it. One of the benefits, a couple of the benefits are Xbox Live integration. So you can stay connected to the Xbox Live community, gain achievements, watch game clips and more, easily record, narrate, and share your most epic gaming moments with the built-in game DVR. And then also you've got your save data, so you can save your games to Xbox Live. And I would assume you could pick up off the Xbox One. I don't know if that's there yet. But you can definitely pick up across PCs. So if you have a Windows 10 PC here and then one over here, you can play the game, save the game there, then play over here, and the same game will pick up from where you left off. So it's pretty much awesome. I mean, the specs are pretty beefy for this game. This is a AAA title, remember, with the best graphics you can buy right now. Get in a game. So the minimum specs are an Intel Core i3 2100. I'm not going to go through all the specs, but I mean, recommended.
There's a lot of higher end specs.
Recommended specs on Intel Core i7 3770 with either an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 970, which is a pretty high spec graphics card, or an AMD Radeon R9 290X. So you've got to have beefy specs. I hear that it performs okay on the Surface Book with the dedicated GPU, but obviously with medium normal settings and stuff. These recommended specs are more for high to ultra settings in the game. So this works. I mean, I can buy this game right now on my Surface Pro 4, and I could launch it, play it, and then save the game, gain achievements, all that good stuff. Talk to Xbox Live friends, and then I could go on my Xbox. I'm assuming you can do that. Go on your Xbox and pick up where I left off. Very nice, and it's the first of its kind as well.
Yeah.
because there's no
Well,
other game like this on the store.
I think it's great that this is, and this again, this is that. How do you have more than double the number of Xbox Ones sold active on Xbox Live? This is another way that they can do that. Have people on that Xbox Live platform, even though it's technically not attached to an Xbox at all. And like you said, this is a fully fledged game. This isn't like some mini game or a tablet game or like Angry Birds Battle. It's just something simple. This is a complicated game. This is something you would play on a gaming PC, and here it is in the store there. And if you do it this way, instead of supporting Gabe Newell, you can support Gabe Ole, right?
Yes, you
I don't
can.
know either of these people personally, but if you have a preference towards one or the other, pick your favorite Gabe and support them.
Jesus. Someone says, yes, let's play it on a Surface 3. There were people on Twitter going, is it for Windows 10 Mobile? Is it for my Lumia 520? No, it's not. Okay, it's for relatively powerful PCs. Even my, what do I have? I have some other devices on here that look pretty awesome, but probably won't be able to run this game. So I'm gonna buy it. It's 35 quid on it. It's 10% off from the Windows Store. £35. I might buy it. I already own it on Xbox, but I might buy it here as well just to see how it goes.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good thing seeing this because it gives me hope for the Windows Store. This means that other powerful apps and stuff can come to the Windows Store. This is a intensive thing. This is the first of its kind for the Windows Store. I hope to eventually see things like Adobe Photoshop, the full suite,
the Premiere Pro and the more powerful ends of the Adobe suite. Yeah.
Even the full Office, like not just the mobile apps, the full version of Office, just available to download from the store. Just quickly press download, it downloads, whatever else. I just hope to see more like that.
Well, yeah, I think there's more than two, but there's two main reasons two of the main reasons that you have mobile specific apps. One is for a long time, and still to some extent now, you couldn't fit the full powered app on a mobile device, whether it was a phone or a tablet. It couldn't run it. Another one was like touch optimization. Obviously, some apps need to be remade so that they work well on a tablet rather than a PC. And that makes perfect sense. But with some of these games, it's the threshold. You're always going to be playing with a controller. You're not going to be playing Tomb Raider or Halo with like just a touch screen. You're always going to be using a controller or some sort of controlling mechanism.
Cool.
And so, yeah, can you imagine playing Halo with like just tapping around? And so the issue was size. The same with Premiere Pro. And so I'm never going to do video editing and compiling on a touch screen where I'm never going to use a mouse. It's about size in there. I might want the features, but I'm never really going to be sitting there. Okay, hold on. Let me keyframe with my fingers here. I was like, no, that's not what I'm doing, and it never should be. So, yeah, I agree. I really hope this. I hope this is a big step forward for them, and then also a step forward towards merging kind of the Xbox One and Windows 10 gaming experience even more fully.
Yeah, like I keep saying, I won't be happy. I won't rest until my Xbox One can play my PC games.
Yeah, exactly. Or the Xbox 2.
Make it happen, Microsoft. Make it happen.
Is that what you think that'll be? It'll be Xbox 2, TWO. Spell it.
No, I hope not. Anyway, I hope they go for Infinity.
Ooh.
Xbox Infinity or Xbox 10. I bet they go for Xbox 10.
Yeah, that would match their counting scheme.
Bloody hell. Microsoft just doesn't understand how to count.
I got a little bit of other gaming news. I'm gonna put this in like the super alleged. Like, I don't know. I guess this is technically like there is a reason to report this. I'm not just making it up, but it's, to me, put this in the alleged category extra. Apparently, there's a Chinese company asking for people's opinions on a mobile Windows 10 handheld device. And so, according to CNX Soft, there was a 3D render sent out asking people their opinion on a potential Windows 10 handheld. They have renders of it here.
Spoiler, it's ugly.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it kind of looks like, I mean, I played it. Today was my day off. I was on a new 3DS for hours today. I love it. It looks like if you took parts of the Nintendo 3DS design that people really like, but then add an entire hard keyboard with hard keys.
Yep. Which
is a really weird design choice. And obviously, we don't know if this will ever be a thing. And then we don't even know what it would run if it did. And they got specs there. I mean, supposedly it would run an Intel Atom quad-core Cherry Trail processor, 4 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah, and touchscreen, obviously, you got to have that. There are a lot of different things. So if this ever happens, it's very intriguing to see if people would want a mobile device. I would say in the mobile gaming sphere, Nintendo's done very well. I would say that a mass number of their fans are on the mobile platform, and that's because they have a few titles that are like Pokemon is pretty much specifically mobile, and that's a big part of their fan base. They make a lot of money off of that. But like the PlayStation Vita and the PSP, I know they were good things, but those aren't immensely popular, are they?
It's funny. The PSP was quite a popular thing, at least here in the UK when that was relevant at the time. I owned a PSP. I had a Nintendo DS and a PSP, and I had the Nintendo DS first, and I played that for however long I played it for, and then the PSP, and then I got a PSP, and I dropped the Nintendo straight away. I was PSP all the time. PSP was it was more powerful spec wise. It just had a few better games. Like it was more a console. Like a console, but in a handheld form. Whereas the Nintendo DS was more like side-scrolling, or like there was a few like 3D open world games, but it was more the PSP's area than Nintendo.
To be honest, that's still kind of how it is. If I had to be, I know there are other games on there, but a lot of the games Nintendo are relatively simple.
Microsoft doesn't release portable gaming in consoles because they don't believe there's a market for it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's half true because I wouldn't buy one these days if it's because it's just another console that developers have to develop games for. Like the only way I can see one being relevant or worthy of making one is if it could just play the same games the Xbox One can play. Yeah. If I could just say, right, I own all these games digitally. Let me sign into my Microsoft account here on this small device, and let me just play it here. Then that would make sense. But in reality, it's more like, developers have to make its own port for this console, and it's usually worse off or completely different, and it's just not worth it in the end for most developers.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Vita, I haven't used it, but I've heard really good things about it, and the commenters are saying the same thing. But I would say that as I recently got back into, I don't even want to call it mobile gaming because Pokemon is not is real time. It's not like Halo where you have to really do fast reactions or whatever. But there is a major difference when you're playing a game with joysticks and buttons or just a touch screen. And that's the biggest argument to me to have a console at all when it comes to something like portable. I know phone games are really popular, but you cannot play some games without some sort of joystick, some sort of button schematic, and some other inputs as well. So if there was a mobile gaming console and it ran like Windows 10 apps as games, but then also ran, as you said, games with like a joystick that are just like the same thing but scaled onto a 5 or 6 inch screen, to me that's better because you can't play certain games without D-pads and joysticks and that sort of thing. You have to have that to play certain games. So that's the real reason for this. I'm curious to see if it happens. Like I said, I think this kind of still in the see what happens and see if it gains support category, but it is an interesting idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got a couple little bit things, I guess. Belfiore was spotted.
Yeah, Belfiore, like every celebrity scandal.
It's like Carmen Sandiego.
Yes, scandal. Joe Belfiore was caught with an iPhone or tweeting from an iPhone. And the whole Windows Phone community, I don't understand the Windows Phone community. They act a lot like spoiled brats.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can he be using an iPhone? I'm so jealous, blah, blah, blah. No, he was using an iPhone. Get over it. He had to even go to, he had to comment on The Verge and explain why he was using an iPhone. And he mentioned this before he went away, that he'd be using rival hardware to learn how it works. But apparently he forgot. So he clarified again. He's on a 9-month leave of absence, and that's a huge and unusual opportunity to get to know rival products deeply. There's a difference between picking up an Android device like I do, messing about with it for 5 minutes and going, oh yeah, that was fun, and putting it down. There's a difference. If I had to pick up that Android device and use it for 6 months, I would know it inside out by that 6 months. Me using Android for a day or so is like, whatever. Now I understand how that bit works and stuff, but I don't know the platform deeply. The only way Joe Belfiore can understand these rival platforms is by using them. And he's on 9 months leave leave of absence, so he has all the time in the world to do that. He doesn't have to sit at a desk every day and work on Windows. He can now kind of do what he wants for 9 months, which is nice.
And he said specifically all the things that you've said, and he also pointed out, his reasoning obviously is what you're going off of. I would say I agree with you. That's all fine and dandy, but just for the point of making a funny joke, would not it also have been productive to send him out with a Lumia 950 as it shipped and then make him deal with it?
He couldn't have dealt with it.
Yeah, exactly. Then he would have ended his leave of absence early and be like, guys, this is not working. You can't do this. You can't be selling these the way they are.
He probably had one before he left.
That's probably true.
He mentioned. I want to just read this here. He mentions here specifically, when we are developing a release of Windows, we must use it at all times on all devices in order to find the bugs, iterate the design, etc., etc. There's really no choice, or we can't build Windows as well as we should. On a leave of absence, there are tons of talented people doing that every day, which gives me the possibility of spending in-depth time on other devices. And using Windows very much like you insiders do, without full knowledge of what's happening behind the curtain. So he's kind of got an advantage here of using these iPhone and Android devices. It means when he comes back, he can sit his team down and go, okay, this is what Android does really well. Let's copy that. This is what iPhone does really well. We should take some of this.
He said, look, I used the iPhone for 4 months and it's better than this us in these many categories. And he can say that, and then they say we need to change it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he's doing, and it will only benefit Windows Phone fans. So Windows Phone fans are going, how can you do this? You betrayed us. We hate you. Shut up. Yeah. Stop it. Yeah, it's only a platform, guys. And he's
also, what if he wants to Periscope stuff, man? He's gonna have he can't have a Windows phone.
Exactly.
He's Periscoping his tour around the world. He can't do that way. Got to use the iPhone.
Indeed.
There's other news. I don't want to go into the NFL too much. I'm briefly going to say everybody kicked off because people blamed the NFL services for something that happened during the AFC Championship game. It's American football, big game when it goes to the Super Bowl. Wasn't the services' fault. Didn't stop everybody from saying it was. Now everybody's going out and had a bunch of articles about it. That's not why we're here. We're not here to talk about the NFL. We're here to talk about Joe Belfiore taking photos in Japan with blonde hair on an iPhone. That's what the people want to hear. That's what the people want us to talk about.
Yeah, he's got blonde hair now. Why? What did he do? Did he explain that?
He mentioned something about a hair shrine. I didn't get all the details.
Must have been a crazy night.
Some people are really, passionate about his hair. Again, a weird thing to choose to be passionate about, in my opinion. But
should I dye my hair blonde?
I don't know. Zach, your hair could have a Twitter follower. In fact, can I just say, any of our listeners who have extra free time, please make a Zach B's hair Twitter.
That.
And there's only tweet updates about his hair from podcast to podcast.
I'm getting it cut off soon.
That's perfect. That could be your breaking story. Yeah.
That's
what I mean. We could NFL, whatever. If anyone's interested, we can save that for that.
Who cares? The Surface didn't fail. That's what we need to
know. Surface is fine. I want one of them NFL Surfaces, though, because it's in a waterproof case. Yeah, that's the only thing I'll take from that. I mean, I love football. I play it, but not in this wheelhouse. So we'll move on.
That was the WinBeta Podcast for the week of January 29th, 2016. I have been one of your co-hosts, Zach Bowden. You can follow me on Twitter at ZachB_. Along with me was Sean Michael, and you can find him on Twitter at
Sean_Michael_UK.
Yep, and you can find WinBeta on Twitter at winbeta.org, DOTORG, on YouTube at WinBeta, youtube.com/WinBeta TV. You can find us on Facebook, search for us. You can find the website, winbeta.org. That's where we usually post stuff. Sometimes. Yeah, most of the time. Every day, usually. But yeah, that was the WinBeta Podcast. Thanks so much for watching, and we shall see you in the next one. Bye-bye.